During the course of the holidays, I have a chance to rest a bit, to reflect, to think about the year that's passed, but maybe more importantly, to spend time thinking about the year ahead. And I certainly did that this holiday season. There's a lot going on here at Weill Cornell across our mission areas. We have the possibility of announcing some new chairs in the not too distant future, and that's exciting. On the clinical front, we continue to focus on clinical growth and where we are going as a clinical practice, particularly with the renovation of the clinical building at 575 Lexington. On the research front, lots going on. Hiring into various research positions, recruiting faculty to come here to Weill Cornell. Big focus this year is going to be on team-based science, particularly important as we think about what's going to be the next iteration of our Clinical and Translational Science Award. This has been something that has been hugely successful for many years at Weill Cornell. What might it look like next? And on the education front, catching up with our students mid-year is always fun to think about where do they see the year going. So all in all, I'm looking forward to 2025. Lots to do as a community. I look forward to sharing some of my thoughts for where we've been and maybe more importantly, where we're going in February at our town hall meeting. Oh, I love answering the question, why is evidence-based medicine valuable? And to do that, I'm going to back us up a little bit because one of the things I often hear is, oh, evidence-based medicine, it's cookbook medicine, it's medicine by algorithm. In fact, it's not. David Sackett, who's considered the father of evidence-based medicine, said years ago something like this: evidence-based medicine is using the best quantitative information combined with expert judgment and putting it in the context of an individual patient's values and preferences. I love that definition because it's anything but cookbook. What evidence-based medicine says is use the best available data to help your patients make decisions in line with the kind of things they think about and the kind of things they value. So don't think of evidence-based medicine as cookbook. Think about it as data-driven wisdom and patient preferences. It's a great question to think about what's changed in academic medicine. I'm always asked this question: was it always like this earlier in your career? And in part, the answer is yes. But I think what people are really getting at when they ask me that question is, what happened to the free time that academics used to have to sit around, talk, think, meet with students? Now it seems everybody's so time pressured to get a new grant, to pursue a new contract, to see more patients. There's no question that life has become more challenging in terms of trying to have the resources to do the things we want to do. But what I always tell people is do just that. Do the things you want to do. If you love seeing patients, try to figure out a way that you can maximize your ability to see patients and use the maximal time where you really enjoy it. If you're a researcher, recognize that research isn't free. It used to be, and people are right when they say this, that some of the margins from clinical medicine, which were much more substantial 20, 30, 40 years ago, used to be able to be used to fund projects that weren't otherwise funded. We have a harder time with that today. We still do use margins of clinical medicine in terms of investing in the research and education missions, but there's no question it's tougher. But my advice is try to stick with the things you really like to do. If you love to do research, most people who love to do research also like writing grants. People love seeing patients. They're busy seeing patients. So do what you love, and I think that'll pay dividends. This week that we're filming this is the week of JP Morgan in San Francisco, which I find to be a fascinating healthcare and innovation conference. I didn't attend this year, first time in a number of years that I haven't attended, but I always come away from that conference energized. And why is that? Because It's a business conference. People are meeting with bankers and venture capitalists and other investment professionals. But I have gone to it for many years as part of either my university duties or as part of my relationship with the American Heart Association, because that's where you get to talk about how do we push forward innovation? How do we think about what is the science needed to push forward this innovative technology, this new device, this new way of looking at a clinical problem? So every time I go to the JP Morgan meeting, I actually do come away energized. Great ideas, entrepreneurial ideas, people really thinking about pushing boundaries. I find that all incredibly stimulating from an intellectual perspective. And it helps me sort out sometimes, how do I better formulate my ideas so that venture capitalists and others willing to make an investment in those ideas get as excited as I am? So it's a great week for science, great week for innovation, and usually a great week to be in San Francisco. We talk a lot with our faculty about what's the best way to grow a career, to achieve academic promotion. In fact, stay tuned, because I have Francis Lee, the chair of psychiatry, leading a task force to look at all of our appointment, tenure, and promotion, both criteria and process. I would say if you want to get promoted, think about what you're here at Weill Cornell to do, and then do it well. If you're here to work mostly as a clinical doctor, as a clinician, do it well. Become the person who's the go-to for certain syndromes or diseases. Become the person who gets referrals from around New York, from around the state, from around the region, or even across the country. Be the person who, as a clinical expert, is writing guidelines for your professional organization, your professional societies. Be the person that people call and ask for an opinion. If you're a scientist, a researcher, do great science, do great research. Do the kind of research in science that ends up in high-impact journals. Garner grants. Not that grants are the only measure of a successful research career, but peer review is an important part of the process where our peers can take a look at our ideas and say, that's worth funding. So do what it is you came here to do, and do it well. If you're a teacher, teach. Be the person that students want to learn from. Be the person that residents write glowing reviews about. Be the person who's writing articles about how I developed this course or how I teach this topic. Be innovative. Be creative. But maybe my message across all three of our missions, clinical medicine, research, and education, if you want to be promoted, be outstanding in what you do. Oh, what books have I read on holiday? Well, I think that people who listen to me know that I love to read. It's one of my great relaxations. I'm a visual reader. I actually like to read books. But over this last couple of months, I've been trying something new. I have about a 12, 13 block walk to work every morning. And so I've been listening to audiobooks. And two that I'm going to recommend. One I'm finished with, and the second I'm in the middle of. The first is a book called Strength to Strength, From Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks. And what this is talking about is how do we move through the various phases of our life, our professional life, our careers, from early on when we're still sort of climbing the ranks of our profession to later in life. And how do we move from what he's called fluid intelligence to crystallized intelligence? I think about it as being an expert in something early on that over time maybe becomes being wise in a topic. Terrific book. I listened to it actually pretty quickly, and I would recommend reading it or listening to it. My second, I'm still in the midst of, although I do know how it ends, and that's Anthony Fauci's autobiography. I got it when he visited campus last month. I am listening to it. Listening to his Brooklyn accent by itself is worth the price of the audiobook. But I'm listening to it in part because I admire him greatly, in part because he's a Weill Cornell graduate, And in part because what he's talking about particularly is the HIV, beginning of the HIV pandemic and how it played out over the course of his many decades in public service. I was a medical intern in Massachusetts and a medical resident really in the early days of the AIDS epidemic. And so there's a lot of the stories that bring me back to my own days of internship and residency. Two terrific reads or listens, as the case may be, and I'd recommend them both.